So welcome to Course in Miracles, text chapter 2, separation and the atonement. And I'll take you through section by section, and we'll go as far as we can tonight. And I want to go slowly through this chapter, because again, such a fundamental chapter and such an incredible chapter that brings through phenomenal understanding when you look back at your life in your present non-dualistic awareness and realize that you are the creator of everything that's happened to you. And the very big difference between what we call create, which is actually to make in illusion, and what is true creation or God's creation. And so it sets up the deep fundamental understanding. And once understanding has been experienced as from the decision maker, the non-dual decision maker's perspective, into right-minded understanding, the transcendence comes. And this is what we're here to do. The transcendence from the separate self to the divine self, the true self. The dreamer realizes itself through you, because you are the dreamer too, or you are the fundamental dreamer, just experiencing the dream from a fragmented singularity called this body-mind. And it's so important to understand this, because through this transcendence of understanding comes the knowing of one's capital S self. And that's vital for what we're all seeking for, which is happiness, the peace of God, the love, joy, and peace of God is another word to say happiness. So it starts with separation and the atonement, the origins of separation. And yeah, it's very, very clear, and I'm going to highlight as we go along. And here's the very, very important word: to extend. I can't highlight it enough. I'm highlighting it 3 times. To extend is a fundamental aspect of God. So it's the very nature of God, which he gave to his son. So the very nature of God is extended into his son, you. So you have the same properties, abilities, essence as God. And that's vital to understand. So when the Bible says you are created in the image of your creator, you're made in the image of God, you're created in the image of God, he's extended into you. You are an extension of him. And therefore, if something extends, every aspect of its extension is like itself. And the aspects of that extension is the sonship. And you are exactly like unto God. In the creation, God extended himself to his creations. And yes, the beautiful, and imbued them with the same loving will to create. So everything in you, everything that you call your passionate nature, in its rawest essence, in its essential essence, take away all the peripheral how to and what it is: artist, architect, musician, nurse, doctor, lawyer, will to create stuff and to expand yourself, is love filtered through ideas. So the artist, love filters through the ideas of an artist's mind, and he creates art. And that's easier. That's an easy analogy. What does the lawyer do? Love filters through the ideas of a lawyer's mind, and his desire is to protect, defend, or do righteousness. It's all a call from love. And in this body mind, it'll play out through a filter of our ideologies and beliefs and values that we built up as we believed we were a body as a child in our formative years. And then we want to play it out. We want to play it out. And that playing out is our passionate nature. And our passionate nature, the word nature, comes from our very core nature, which is like our creator, which is to create. Not only have you been fully created, so you're perfect, but you've also been created perfect. There it is. Okay. There is no emptiness in you. And how come people feel so emptiness? Why are we studying this course? Why have we gone on a path? Why have we gone on a journey? eat, pray, love, to find ourselves, because an emptiness inside wants to be filled, and that's the call from love. Okay, but in order to be filled, that emptiness, which is filled with so many ideas and beliefs, B-lie-Fs, so many beliefs and ideologies that are not understood but told from one generation to the next without any iota of proof, nothing to substantiate it. With all the good ideas and all the good will to share it in a beautiful way, it's still not real and not tangible. And so that the self, imagine the self as a cup, instead of being filled with the essence of itself, God's essence, is filled with ideas, and therefore it always remains empty, because ideas are illusion, beliefs are illusion, and faith in illusions is zero. So zero, times one is still zero. Why? Because you're trying to fill a cup with illusions, and it therefore remains empty because of your likeness to your creator. So the essence of you is identical to the essence of your creator. Okay. You are creative in a myriad of ways, filtered through the ideas and beliefs you have in your mind. No child of God, so this is the son dreaming, can lose this ability because it is inherent in what he is, but he can use it inappropriately by projecting. And that's what you, Holy Son of God, as your original, before you fractured into all the billions of beings in the universe, you projected and created the universe. Why? Because you were imbued with the exact same creative power as God. You were given this power to create, just like God. So if you think the universe is this monstrous thing that you can't even fathom the size of it, and how could you have created it? You did, because, and you cannot remember, because you were given and imbued with the same essential nature as your Father. The inappropriate use of extension, inappropriately used, is called projection. And that's what we do in this world. And not only did we project as the initial dreamer until it fractured himself, we project as fractured selves. Because when you believe that some experience or lack exists within you, and which single human being, which billionaire on this planet doesn't believe there's still something lacking, and that you can fill it with your own, there it is, ideas instead of truth, ideas, ideologies, beliefs, concepts. No matter how beautiful and how innocent in their applied appropriateness, it's still illusion and therefore not truth. And no matter what you fill it with, no matter how much money, no matter how many places, people, places, things, and events you fill the self with, the empty cup cannot be filled by emptiness. And the reason it fell asleep, and now it gives the four processes very, very clearly. So, the process involves the following steps. First, you believe that what God created can change by your own mind. And you may say, hang on a second, I don't believe it. I don't believe what God created can change. You do by your own life, by the fact that your body's changing, you're aging, is a fundamental proof that you believe that what God created can change. The very fact that you're aging means that although you may say you don't, although you may say and put your hand on the Bible and say, I believe that what God created is changeless, deep within your subconscious mind, in the wrong mind, the fundamental belief is that you do age and that you do get sick and that you will die. And therefore you will, because that belief is still fundamental. It's still an illusion in the cup that wants to be filled only by truth. Second, you believe that what is perfect, you, can be rendered imperfect or lacking. And the minute you are feeling like the world's against you, in any resistance to anything you read in the news, anything you see, anything that you think is unfair, you are lacking. The world is lacking. The projection that you projected is therefore lacking, which means you are actually lacking. And you say, no, I don't believe it. I believe I'm perfect. God created me. The fact that you ever in resistance to anything proves that your deep fundamental belief is lacking. Third, you believe that you can distort the creations of God, including yourself. And a simple example is you believe he's right, she's wrong. And there can be two stories, and neither are right, and there's always the third one. The fact that you believe duality and paradox is proof that your fundamental belief is incorrect, because you think you can distort the creations of God, including yourself. And this is the creation of God has gone into physical body, mind. The fact that you're here, the fact that I'm here, even means that deep within my fundamental belief system, which is why we have to practice forgiveness to clear the data. And I'll touch on Ho'oponopono, because that's one of the best techniques that works energetically, beautifully, in symbiosis with the Course, is the perfect way to clear the data, clear the beliefs, that deep-rooted, unconscious, secret guilt mind, the secret mind filled with fear, guilt, and sin, and the belief in time, and things can change, and things age and die. And fourth, you believe that you can create yourself. And law of attraction has just fallen beautifully into that. You believe you can create yourself, and the direction of your own creation is up to you. And law of attraction is being captured by the imagination, by the ego, by the secret will to extend and usurp the power of God by our own creation. So what is it that we want to do? We want to visualize. And I admit to this. In my beginning of my teaching career, spiritual teaching career, I taught the 7 aspects, the 7 lampstands, the creating of our physical life, emotional life, body, familial life, vocation, mental and spiritual, and vision boards, and create and manifest. And wow, it's phenomenal. It works. How to attract money. You see, the internet is filled with spiritual courses on how to attract money, how to attract abundance, how to attract wealth, how to attract health. You believe that you can create. So this is the next superpower that humans have, the ability to manage and manifest through the law of attraction. No, you're manifesting illusions. You're just creating, making more, and it won't fill you. And take it from someone who has built a life and has got a life filled with things, and ran many a corporate company and created many a multinational super brands, international brands that, if I mention the names, you will know them. And I was instrumental in creating these massive structures and massive wealthy organizations, and ended up with a wealth of toys and every conceivable desire I had. And yet the cup was filled with illusions and therefore remained empty. I manifested at will, and I was a powerful creator, a powerful sorcerer. And sorcerer is just another word for source error. Carlos Castaneda's beautiful teaching, source error. Sorcerers, look at this magic, law of attraction. No, law of attraction is a natural phenomenon that happens inside the mind of the dreamer, and obviously inside of God, meaning what is imbued in one is imbued in all, and what one has, all have, and what is given to one is given to all. But when you think you can manifest for you and therefore change your life, you are heading for a disaster. Take it from someone who went straight in there and therefore had to surrender the desire to create from a mistaken secret dream mind, and had to get to a point where he realized surrender first, and all will be shown when your first and foremost desire, seek ye first the kingdom, and all else shall be given you. And for a planner, a strategist, I have a doctorate in strategy, doctorate in human behavioral psychology, degree in architecture, MBA strategy. I'm a master planner, a master strategist, master futurist. My natural inherent talent is futuristic. Maximize, organize. And all I did is create disasters with the greatest intentions to serve and to help others. I created disasters. And when I finally surrendered, I became peaceful. And now in that silent gratitude, and it was a very difficult thing for me to do nothing. For 2 years now, I've almost done nothing. And in this time period, I've just been undoing by doing nothing. And slowly the vision's coming. And it started in the last few months. Well, how do I play it out from now onwards? And vision's coming to me. And I have a tendency to want to move and finish and put things into place. And it's filtering ever so slowly. And so I take time out. What do I do when I take time out? Do I sit and meditate under the Bodhi tree? No, I just watch movies. I just watch movies, The Walking Dead. And in that watching, I'm learning and I'm practicing forgiveness nonstop. And I'm finding myself getting annoyed at the script, practice forgiveness, and slowly glimpses come through. And when I go to sleep at night, clarity comes. And the next day I write, ready, the business plan. I'm being shown the inspiration's coming. It's re-inspiring me from a place of empty the cup. And so be so careful of law of attraction, because you'll manifest your desires, but from wrong-mindedness. And those manifested wrong-minded ideas will trap you in the dream of separation. And you'll be living amazingly with all the abundance and toys and relationships and places you've ever wanted, and forget you're trapped in the secret dream. So the greatest way is the path of least resistance, which doesn't sound ambitious. How can you go the path? You look lazy, you're not doing anything, you're sitting on your bum, staring into space. Surely you should be working and building and getting involved, and not until you're shown. These related distortions, there it is. That's what law of attraction is, related distortions. These related distortions represents a picture of what actually occurred in the separation or the detour into fear. Why? Because as soon as you fear losing it. None of this existed before the separation, nor does it exist now, nor does it actually exist now. So we have a tendency, and I want to just touch on this topic for a second. We have a tendency to say, well, everything's an illusion. It's all illusion. It's not really happening. It's all illusion. All of it, you Holy Son of God. All of it is you. The entire universe is you, filtered, the love that you are, the pure essence that you are, filtered through the limitations of the understanding of what you are. And so you are making all of this. So if you look upon a tree or the stars or the moon or your hand or your friend or the building and say all of it's illusion, that is not correct. It's an illusionary perception. It's an illusionary projection, but nevertheless, it is a projection of your essence. So what has seemed to take in shape, what it seems to take, become physical beings and people outside you and buildings and places and things and events are not illusions, but an illusionary projection of you. Everything you can see, feel, touch in this world is an illusionary projection of you. And so don't call it an illusion and just write it off, oh, it's all illusion. Oh, I'm okay. And detach from any responsibility. You are responsible not only for your body, mind, and those of your friends and families, for which you have to take full responsibility if you really want to make a difference in this world. But you have to take responsibility for your town and your city and your country and your government and your continent and this planet and the entire universe. It is all you. And you don't try and correct it by fixing it materially or by changing the way it works. You change it within yourself by forgiving what you have made, because it's a reflection of you. And if you see a war going on the television screen, then realize that you're at war and therefore you're attracted to the screen that shows a war. You want to alleviate the suffering of yourselves on that screen or in a country where they're at war, then forgive yourself for your creation. Forgive yourself for trying to usurp the power of God by proving to yourself and therefore God that you had the power to usurp him. And what have you done? You've proven to God that you have the power to dream a dream that does not exist. So what have you actually proven to God? Absolutely nothing. And it's in this fact that you have done absolutely nothing, and therefore your idea of fear, sin, and guilt is not true. So the very fact that you have failed to prove to God then you can usurp his power is the very blessing that you have, that no matter what you've done is not real, and therefore you haven't sinned, there is no fear, and there is no guilt. Everything God created is like him. Extension as undertaken by God, similar to the inner radiance that the child of the Father inherits from him. Its real source is internal. Your real power is the essence of yourself, internal. Seek within or go without. This is as true of the Son as of the Father. In this sense, creation includes both the creation of the Son of God, of the Son by God, and the Son's creation when his mind is healed. And so what is that true creation? And I want to highlight this in a different color for a second. In this sense, the creation includes the creation of the Son by God, so the creation of you, the dreamer, and the Son's creations, the universe, okay? No. When his mind is healed. And so when his mind is healed, and this is the important thing, the universe is not when his mind is healed. When the mind is healed, what does the Son create? The Son creates light like the Father. And so in our limited understanding, I'm going to use a concession. Imagine God is light. What does light create? Light extends and creates eternal light. What is the Son? The Son is light, because it's the creation of the Father unto himself, like himself. What is the extension of the Son? Pure light. What is another word for light in our limited understanding? Unconditional acceptance of what is. What is? Perfect silence, perfect bliss, perfect isness. So what does the Son extend and create like the Father? Light. What is light? Love. What is love? Peace. Love, joy, and peace. Same thing. So it's the eternal extension of light everywhere. What is light filled with? Light. What is every single light made from? Light cells. The extension of the cell. Extension of source. Everything you can feel, see, touch is the filtration of your love light through an idea of separation, an idea of what you are and what the universe is in relationship to everything else, and therefore projected outwards and seen as real. What you see is an illusionary projection of you. So is it all illusion? It's illusion in the fact that it appears as illusions. What you actually look upon is yourself. Remember this. So be careful to just write stuff off. Everything's illusion. Everything is you. Everything is love, because it's you love extended outwards in pure light. But because you've fallen asleep, what you think is pure light is now taken shape and become people, places, things, and events. You look upon yourself, Holy Son of God. And so when you look upon pure pleasure, pure joy, pure love, then you recognize yourself and you see the face of Christ in everyone. But when you look upon a world and you see suffering and disease and restlessness and lack, what you look upon is yourself. It's showing you clear the data, practice forgiveness until all you see is a heaven-like experience. So Son's creations in his mind are healed. This requires God's endowment of the Son with free will, because all loving creations is freely given in one continuous line in which all aspects are of the same order. So if I draw a line on this page, and that's the extension of source energy. So let's imagine this is source energy, and it's extending a ray of light. What is this ray of light? That is the sonship. And what does the Son do? The Son extends a ray of light, just like the Father does. So now let's talk about the Bible for a second. I love it when Jesus goes back to the good book. The Garden of Eden, or the pre-separation condition, was a state of mind, didn't actually physically happen, in which nothing was needed. When Adam, remember, state of mind, he's dreaming, listened to the lies of the serpent, all he heard was untruth. You do not have to continue to believe what is not true unless you choose to do so. And so if you really want to transcend understanding into the knowing of yourself, you have to let go of all spiritual, religious, or ideological ideas. Get rid of all of it. Empty the cup. All that can literally disappear in the twinkling of an eye, because it is merely a misperception. It doesn't call it an illusion. It's a misperception. Your perception is wrong. Okay. What is seen in dreams seems to be very real. I often, do analogies with our dream sleep. Why? As above, so below. So if you look at our lives in this world, everything you do and everything that happens, including awake, dream, deep sleep, is a reflection of what's actually happening in the bigger picture. What is seen in dreams seems to be very real. If the Bible says that a deep sleep fell upon Adam, okay, and here's the most beautiful line, and if this doesn't hit you, okay, and nowhere is there reference to his waking up. Adam falls asleep, in his dream, God takes his rib. Eve is created. Now there's a spare rib running around, talking to snakes, eating apples, but nowhere does it say he wakes up. Nowhere. And actually, the story of Adam and Eve is actually symbolic of the mind splitting into right-wrong mindedness, or the mind also splitting up into duality. And now the one half seeks out the other half in order to be complete. Eventually, we can make a movie, and Tom Cruise says to the protagonist in the movie, the beautiful girl, of course, "You complete me." And everybody goes, "Oh, it's so romantic." And this is what we want, special love relationships, where you complete the other, you and I against the world. One of the greatest obstacles to peace, special love relationships. The world has not yet experienced any comprehensive reawakening. So just be aware of this, that, or rebirth. There's a tiny percentage of the world awakening to true reality, not conceptual beliefs and more spirituality. And people love to talk about consciousness and awakening and self-realization. If it's induced through any chemical, if it's induced through any process, it's not real. The abidance in your heart, in the recognition that that heart is made from the same essence as your source, when you recognize that that essence is yourself, true awakening is the recognition of your essential nature as the same essence, which is the essence of your creator. And when you knowingly know this fully and fully embody it while you're in body mind, in the total experience and awakening of the realization, I am, now you're awakening. Now is the beginning of your awakening. And it takes the rest of your life as you abide in this restful, peaceful, quiet place where God speaks, where the silent voice of God thunders beyond all egoic chattering and lets you know I am, and shows you clear vision of how to act, where to act, how to do. And this is where the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi is so beautiful, because he doesn't say, "God, let me go and do this, that, and the other." He says, "God, where would you have me go? To whom would you have me speak? What would you have me say?" Is surrender and abide until you're shown. Be patient, because God has patience with you. That's called grace. Such a rebirth is impossible, okay, as long as you continue to project or miscreate. It still remains within you, however, to extend as God extended. Extend as God extended his spirit to you. So it's extending your spirit to all. Okay, and what is it? What is spirit? Spirit is energy. What is energy? It's your essence. What is your essence? It's your passionate nature. Extend your passionate nature to all. Serve all. If you want to serve God, serve the self. What is the self? Your creations. Serve your creations. Serve all your creations in service of God. Surrender it all. In reality, this is your only choice. You are the decision maker, and the only choice you have is to choose again, see it anew, and choose to serve your creation. Because your free will was given to you for your joy in creating the perfect. What is perfect? Love. What is creating the perfect? It's extending the love you are with the love you've created through your misperceived projections. But now that you're starting to see it anew, now that you've handed your sight and your life to God's Holy Spirit, the memory of God within you, you start to see it anew, and you start to serve it from a place of realizing that you're attached to nothing. You expect nothing from no one or anything, but yet you are intrinsically and holistically connected to all of it, because all of it is you. All fear is ultimately reducible to the basis of misperception. So realize whenever you're in fear, past, you've misperceived. And the activity of the past, you've misperceived. You've brought it into the present, made it real for you now. And the minute you make it real for you now, you project it into the future. And you think it's going to happen again. Choose again, Holy Son of God. Nothing in the past needs to be repeated in the future if you forgive it now, here and now. And so, touching on Ho'oponopono, what are you doing? You're clearing data. What's the data? The ideas, the thoughts of that the past were real. The hurts that were done to you, the things that you did to others, and therefore you carry the secret guilt. And now you want to project it outwards, minimize the guilt within you, maximize the pleasure, and attack someone outside you for it. Okay. All fear is ultimately reducible to the one basic concept that you have the ability to usurp the power of God. No, you don't. Okay. It's just a concept, misperception. Of course, you neither can or have been able to do this. Why? Death is the proof of it. There is the real basis for your escape from fear. The escape is brought about by your acceptance of the atonement. The atonement is the full realization that you are the Son of God. Here now. What else do you want to do? Where else would you like to go? What else are you trying to achieve in this life? Okay. So the acceptance of the atonement, which enables you to realize that your errors have never really occurred. The past has never really occurred. Only after the deep sleep fell upon Adam could he experience nightmares, as you do at night. What a nightmare is, just showing you the secret subconscious guilt hidden in your mind. Don't try and go into dream understanding and read books about dream interpretation. Look at it subjectively and realize it's all your projections in the dream trying to show you your secret hidden guilt of fear, guilt, and sin. If a light is certainly turned on while someone is dreaming a fearful dream, he may initially interpret the light itself as part of his dream and become afraid of it. This is the reason why your awakening seems to take so long. Because if God was to, all of a sudden you were to realize self as God's Son and God all in one, this limited body-mind experience simply would self-combust. However, when he awakens, the light is correctly perceived as the release from the dream, which then no longer recorded reality, because at night, your dreams feel very real to you, and your dreams are actually showing you the three conditions of the mind in the dream itself. The awake dream, here as I stand and speak to you, as you sit and listen to my speak. The sleeping dream, where you dream at night, or you fantasize your fantasies, while you're awake, and you're fantasizing, or at night, your subconscious mind takes over and shows you in your dream state the secret hidden guilt and what you really believe. While you're asleep, you cannot control your dreams, and the subconscious takes over, and this is why you have nightmares or fantasies. And then there's the deep, deep sleep, where you cannot remember, because deep sleep, the limited body mind cannot access the deep sleep's consciousness. Deep sleep is pure consciousness. Even though you cannot remember deep sleep, the self is fully awake and realizes itself as a son of God in your deepest, deepest sleep, which is why people love sleep. It's why people heal during sleep. It's why people desire that deep sleep and recharge, and they need that deep, deep sleep, because that's when the self realizes self and brings with it that energy to recharge your body and feels rested. Even if it's just for a second in deep sleep is better than 8 hours sleep in semi-sleep or beta alpha and the beta and alpha states, or even as you're tapping into theta. The delta, deep sleep state is when the self abides in God, and it comes out of it, or recedes back into the separate dream, and then you dream at night, the subconscious guilt comes to the top. And all repair work is done in the deep sleep state. Why? That's the limited, the limitless. And this limited body mind cannot access it. That's why you can't remember it. However, when he awakens and the light is correctly perceived as the release from the dream, which is then no longer recorded reality, this release does not depend on illusions. The knowledge that illuminates not only sets you free, so the knowledge that illuminates, but also shows you clearly that you are free. And this is the knowing of one's being. Understanding gets you to a certain level. Knowledge only gets you to a certain level. Experience knowledge gets you to wisdom. When you transcend that knowledge and wisdom into knowing, it's the knowing of yourself as the Holy Son of God that is the release from this dream, the release from fear. And you can do that while you appear in a body mind. And then it'll call on you to act. Act how? Act as I'm acting now. Share the word of God. Share the word of Christ's mind. Share yourself passionately with yourselves. And you ask for nothing because it's free. And as it's given freely, it's received freely. Whether one of you see this, or 100 of you see this, or 20,000 of you see this, the self abides in true reality. And just by sharing it with my own acknowledgement of self, it is shared with all of us. It may appear to be spreading through the world a lot faster if more people watch it, but it's not necessary, because myself, my true self, is your true self. The essence of mine and yours is identical because there's only one of us. There's one dreamer, dreaming as me and you and everybody else in the world, seeing itself through 8 billion eyes, 8 billion sets of eyes, and yet it's always only the I, only the self, only the I am. Whatever lies you may believe, concepts, beliefs, are of no concern to the miracle, which can heal any of them with equal ease, because there's no degrees of separation, no degrees of difficulty in miracles. It makes no distinctions amongst misperception. There's not one wrong that's more wrong than others. It's either all wrong or it's all right. It's either all illusion or all reality. Your choice on how you choose to see it. Its sole discretion is to distinguish between the truth on one hand and error on the other. So everything you think is fear, guilt, and sin, every sin you believe exists, is simply an error in perception, in an error in perceiving that what you imagined happened or you imagine is happening is only happening in dreams. It is not happening in true reality. Some miracles may seem to be of greater magnitude than others, but remember the first principle of this course: there is no order of difficulty in miracles. For truth to filter through any aspect of the dream, doesn't matter how many layers the dream makes up an illusion, to true reality, to the self, to God's Holy Spirit, it's all dream. It's all the same dream. No matter what colors you put into a rainbow, the rainbow is not real. It is just a perception of light spectrum. In reality, you are perfectly, this is the unchanged part of you, unaffected by all expressions of the lack of love. And what is the lack of love? This physical body, mind, this entire universe. These can be from yourself and others, from yourself to others, or from others to you. Peace is an attribute in you. It's not something you gain. You cannot find it outside. Illness is some form of external searching. Illness is the belief that it's out there. Body, minds are real. Health is inner peace. This is a beautiful line. And those who don't have inner peace are never healthy. You know this. It enables you to remain unshaken by a lack of love, or the perceiving of a lack of love from without, and capable, through your acceptance of miracles, of correcting the conditions preceding from a lack of love in others. Because it's the perception that others are lacking love, or that you're lacking love. And it's your perception of lack and love in you that perceives the lack and love in others. Because the whole thing is you. We'll stop there.